What's up, Myth World? We're back here in Game 4 of the Myth All-Star match. And Dak has informed me that he wants individual introductions on everybody here. So without further ado, I am joined by Dak. What's up, Dak?
Yo yo.
Limp. What's up, Limp?
Ahoy hoy.
And Eastwin, that crazy Indian myther that we all love.
Yes.
And
See,
of
I knew
course,
it.
I am GKG. So here we are, game 4. The map
Who's
is
GKG?
GKG
No
is
one cares.
no, yeah, nobody knows that guy. It's not important. Um, this is Broken Arrow. It's part of Grimm's map pack, and I'm actually a huge fan of this map, but it hasn't gotten some play in recent tournaments lately. So I'm really I thought this would be the weakest map choice when Limp, Asmo, and I were going through and picking all the maps. I wasn't sure if this would play out really well, but overall I'm happy with it. I think actually I'm happy with all the picks. Limp, Asmo, and I did a fantastic job with the picks, I feel.
Picks are solid, yeah.
I mean, you had like in the draft finals like one or two shitty games, that just were camp fests, and you tend, I don't know, in 7 game series you seem to see that quite a bit. So I was happy that everything played out, not at least weren't just boring ass camp fests or anything like that. So all right, so the
I think you
trades.
just started to see kind of like a fundamental difference in the trades.
Yeah, let's look at these trades here. So Asmo got just 2 less locks than us and got extra skeletons instead. So he got more skeletons. So for the mythers out there, skeletons is a unique unit to this map. They're a melee unit. They're pretty fast, similar speed to mauls, and they're
I
weak
think you're
to.
cutting out a little bit there.
I'm cutting out.
Yeah, he definitely is,
Oh
but
shit!
he probably can't hear it on our end.
All right. So again, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're cutting out. It's your internet.
Can you guys hear
Yep.
me now?
Good.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I think I had a little hiccup there, but all right. So we're back here. Just wanted to explain the skeletons real quick to everybody. They're they hit pretty hard. They'll stun like Hurons from healing. Um, uh, they're weak to fire, but they're resistant to lightning fetch shots. So just real quick there. And let's see here. The strategies, trades were very similar. Strategy wise, it looks like just kind of a 3 prong for the most part for Asmo's team. You'll notice that they're doing kind of a lighter west flank because the west flank here is very hilly and it's got a big choke point. So and we're doing something a little different in the north. Limp, Ars, and I, the 3 of us, are gonna try. You'll see this later on. We're gonna try and do a rush. We're kind of scouting this west side right now, and we're gonna try and push it in and do a rush on that to kind of catch them off guard because most people don't really expect that. So
Yeah, you take a look at this. You take a look at this map, and it's incredibly narrow, and you basically only have 2 crossings. You have all the flat land here with the peninsula in the middle, which is like giant wide open area. It's kind of hard to press because this interconnection between the peninsula makes pinching happen pretty easily. So you can't really be too aggressive. And then over here in the west, you have these 2 giant hills, which theoretically you think you should be able to hold with a couple artillery units, even if it's a big rush. I mean, you look at it and you think so, but we're trying something here. We're trying to actually just have the Mauls soak up some artillery while the Souls just gain advantage of this hill, which kind of gives the terrain advantage for the rest of the map, where on Asmos side, it kind of looks like they're just anticipating that this side of the map isn't going to play out, and it's just going to be a campfire on this side. So we're hoping that, you know, this is exactly what happens, and this is about to play out.
Definitely, that was a good play.
We have a here comes the West Rush. So yeah, like Limp was just explaining, mauls are really tough to lock and ward shots. So they're really good at just they take a while to kill. So that was kind of our idea to just throw a lot of mauls at this west side, you know, spread out and use them to push up the hill. And Limp's key play here, which this is exactly what we went over, and it's what he was supposed to do, was his souls flanked wide along the west wall to get an angle on Rat and Eastwind. And Rat and Eastwind are fighting a 3v2 against a vastly superior force of what we have. So there's really nothing they could have done too differently there. The other thing that helps against when rushing is
We had to back up, yeah.
there's lots of Hurons on this map, so you can heal up your melee, tons of roots and stuff, and this also is also very rush friendly, so that's why we went for that.
Not even just Herons. We got Heron heroes and Heron healers.
Right,
so
right.
You got a bunch of roots, so
Exactly.
it's somewhere if you rush, you can just heal
A
up
Huron,
like nothing ever happened. And
a Huron eats a
kinda worked out
lock
in our
shot,
favor. And because
and
that
just
happened,
heals.
this terrain is falling. The rest of the map starts to have to fall.
See, the thing was, as you guys are pushing west, I feel like our east has just done some damage, because they were just like 3 fetch souls morts versus just locks. So I feel like
Well, here's where actually the extra locks came in huge, because you have 2 people controlling 3 apiece, and when that happens, 3 locks versus 3 fetch. If you have good micro on the lock, you actually don't have that huge of an advantage on the fetch, because if you're staggering the fires, you kill the fetch, and that's exactly what Paris did to Adrenaline. I mean, Adrenaline just completely mopped up Adren up here. It changed the tide of
that's
the game.
true.
in
Actually,
my
3
opinion.
locks definitely helped. That's
Yeah, so
that's pretty unusual, I gotta say.
yeah, so a lot to talk about there. I missed it on the video just because there's so much shit to try and cover in this fight all at once. But Adren had 3 fetch in the east and basically died pretty badly against Paris's 3 locks, and Paris did a good job with like melee harassing, and he got some lock shots off. Personally, I feel it's difficult for 3 fetch to push 3 locks. I don't know if he really could have done much there, because it's a lot to micro, and if Paris just uses some melee to push the fetch and force them to shoot at the melee just a little bit, he's gonna it's very risky. One of those lock shots is gonna sneak through. So I feel it was,
For sure.
you know, Adren.
And Paris is a really micro heavy player.
Yeah, Paris did a fantastic job with that too. Yeah, definitely. And I would say, go ahead. You there?
The thing was, though, they also had more melee, but they were just kind of sitting back. So I feel like if they just could have pushed in with the melee and then had the fetch behind, that could have made a difference. Because
Yeah.
no matter what, they had
Yeah,
to
definitely.
push that.
With the way that it turned out in the terrain in the west, with the souls taking that whole hill and kind of making mid retreat, East had to do something with the play, and it just it didn't really turn out.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Eastwind. If he was going to do any kind of push, he needed to lead with the melee first, and then kind of block a little bit from behind, so that just in case a lock ball sneaks through, the melee's there ready to block something and push that way. Him and Kroon might have had a melee advantage there, and it was certainly a 2v1 matchup, although Gecko was trying to help a little bit too, so... but, you know, a lot of it is strat, I think, here. You guys were playing into a little bit of a disadvantage there, and you didn't really know what you were running into either. Oh, there's your fetch you just lost, Dak.
I gotta say, I think
The soul the soul limp soul push was a game changing kind of thing because taking over the West, which we expected like just kind of a hold thing. That was a good play, I would say.
Yeah, because like if you can take the west, it's a big hill and it leads you right to one of the statues pretty much. So plus you have control of that Soul Hill mid. It forces your guys' mid to pull back because we'll have control of
You
that
have to
Soul
retreat.
Hill. Yep. So we just gain more ground. It kind of pushes through everybody else. And this
Also,
is
you guys had 3 solars. I think that
Yes.
was a difference too.
Yeah, so Asmo just rage quit right here, most likely, because, yeah, it's kind of a shitty
Do we
game.
know he rage quit for sure?
It's pretty likely, I would say, but either way, it doesn't matter. So
You know,
I
I
don't
mean-
know. I'm just.
Going into
he
this-
saw what was going on west side, or I mean east.
Going into this, I felt good about this map just because we had such an unusual idea with the west flank, but it kind of popped out to both me and GKG when we looked at this that you could really dominate the position of the map if you got a bunch of Solus up on the west flank from either side. It just kind of it forces middle to have to collapse. You really don't have a choice, and once you've collapsed there, you as you guys like to put it, you turtle. You have to turtle here on this little section, and there's just not much you can do at that point other than get surrounded and slowly picked apart, and that seems to be what happened.
yeah, I was actually, I think I was torn the most on exactly how to play this one out, because I had a couple different ideas. I was torn
Team
between a west
eliminated.
rush and an east rush. Yeah, because we were talking about an east rush too, and to try and like sneak a melee force along the east wall to ninja a statue kill, and then like if we had to just camp from that advantage or something like that. But
Yeah, it's just so narrow.
yeah, but I felt like, yeah, like you said, it's so. I felt that was too easy to defend. That choke. It's east can be easily blocked off by mid. Mid just needs to shift east, and then they block the east off. That's why I didn't even go for the peninsula. I told
Yeah,
Paris to
totally.
not even cross the river and just hold from that end, because I didn't want him to overextend, and I also wanted the east. The east had to hold. If anything got through the east while we were doing this little fancy push maneuver in the west, our whole backfield would have been wide open, and that would have been bad. And then just to add on to what Eastman,
Yeah, and
That's
if
what
you
had
kinda
to
look at
happen,
it-
though.
yeah, that's what had to happen for you guys for sure. And then
It was kind of in a way a 3-prong versus 2-prong.
it kind of, yeah.
I mean, obviously the middle and east were split for Team GKG, but they were so close together, and because we didn't cross the peninsula, it was very close to being, each force could help each other if it was really necessary. Whereas, the middle forces and east and west forces for Team Asmo were all very separated, and we kind of split our forces 50-50 in a way in that sense, and it was kind of hard to overcome that, I think.
Yeah, just to add on to
Yeah, I
what
agree.
Eastwind said about the 3 soul squads versus 2 soul squads. Again, this is just kind of helps illustrate the importance of squads when you're making these strategies, because the trades were pretty similar for both teams here. But I was also, we were doing these, when I was making the strat, I was also kind of debating in my mind like 2 soul squads versus 3, and I just wanted that extra micro on that west flank, and I wanted Gecko. I had to have 3 squads, and I just felt like the soul fight, especially in the west, was key to win that. So I wanted more soul micro on that. Because if you take that hill, bam. And this map also just has so many arty units. It was kind of like, okay, if I I had the Soul Hill that was closest to mid, so you could see me when I was going in. I was taking some lock shots, and the plan was like kind of okay. I'm in the I have the kind of the most difficult spot. I can get pinched from middle, which is why I had Dak and Argos to try and kind of help prevent that as much as they could. And my plan was to kind of like, okay, my squad will get wiped out, and then I will, if needed, just take
And
over.
there goes the mic again.
His plan was to cut out right on cue.
Damn. All right, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
All right. My plan was because there's just so many units on this map, it was kind of optimal for an 8v8. Honestly, you could do an 8v8 on this one very easily. My plan was like, okay, my squad's in that rush is probably gonna die out, and then I'll just hand over my leftovers and then kind of move myself over to middle to help Argos and Paris with locks or something like that. So I kind of had it in my mind that I would shift over and help micro something else. So, and then there was something else I wanted to say, but I
Honestly,
forgot.
one thing.
I kind of split some of my stuff off
Yeah, I saw you handed
to
me
you,
some
if I
units.
remember right.
Yep, I saw that. Yep.
What I was going to actually say about this was, to me, this game specifically is very definitive of the match and kind of the difference between the captaining styles. I think here you see, which is really represented by the fact that both the trades were very similar. But here you can see that the black team has a clearly defined goal with trying to take terrain west, whereas Team Asmo really doesn't. They're just kind of divvying up the units and lining up and hoping to just BC like it's going to be a rabble game. But, you have one team kind of playing more into the strategy of the terrain of the map, and the other team kind of putting the trust in just the general play of the players. And, that's starting to play out, and this map is really where it puts a highlight on it to me.
Yeah. I see what you're saying with that, and we'll see it more in the next couple games too. But I mean, you can get away with that. Like I can't create definitive, decisive strategies every single game. Sometimes I look at a map and it's like, yeah, there's nothing I can do here. It's just a lineup in BC. There's nothing I can do. So there is some of that too sometimes, but it helps to have that ability to when the opportunity is there to be able to do to kind of recognize that you can do something different and set something up for your players. The other thing I just wanted to say real quick, you'll notice Dak has a ton of damage. He did freaking awesome this game. I almost sent Dak on the east flank on this game, and then I changed my mind, and I'm glad I did. I think it really set him up better. The reason I changed it because I felt he would help to push the middle locks better, which would help relieve pressure off of me when I'm doing the west rush with the souls. And also, with him being middle, he could shift to east if needed to help counter a rush or something like that. So I just felt the fetch in the middle was a better positioning of the fetch as opposed to what Asmo did with putting the fetch on that east flank.
And you'll also note that Dak went 20-7 with 63 damage with 3 fetch, whereas Adrenaline went 2-8 with 11 damage.
So yeah, although I didn't
watch out, everyone.
Yeah.
Dak's gonna try and correct that there, but I mean, I didn't catch it on the film because there's just so much to look at. I just caught a little bit of the end of it, but yeah, there's only 3 fetch on this map, so it's a very important squad to have. And as everybody can see, Adren had some terrible ratios there with those 3 fetch. It's a very important squad to have. Rat King did good, but he had I don't know. He did good, but a lot of that was the damage on us rushing. So I don't know.
There was definitely kind of a slut rush that occurred middle.
With
Yeah,
our
I would
force?
say that's where the damage came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, between me and Argos, we sort of went up middle and abused Merc a little bit
Yeah,
because he got abandoned, right? Like, if you
look at
look through
his.
the game chat going back, you have orders from Asmo saying, someone help West, after it had collapsed already, So Rar was going back trying to hold off the rush coming there, but he had to kind of volunteer to do it, right? Like, Asmo didn't say, Roar, go west. He said, someone go west. It could have been him, it could have been Merc, it could have been anybody. And I think that Asmo kind of mentally checked out when the west collapsed over there, as
I
is
think
evident
he
by his quitting
I
the
think he
game
mentally
before
checked
it was
out when he
over.
saw what was going on east, honestly. So it
East,
wasn't as
yeah.
much the west collapsing; it was the more like east
Adrens.
fucking up. Yeah.
Let's just say Adren.
fetch
Nice more
play.
Adren.
Okay, and the other thing too is, you had Paris over there with 3 locks. You guys controlled, Asmo's team controlled the little Soul Hill in between mid and north. I feel like there was a huge melee advantage where
Yeah.
it would have made a lot of sense for East to push through Paris and then
Just
force
with melee.
me and
Not
Argos
even,
to
just forget
go
the
back.
fetch. Just rush with your huge
Right,
melee advantage
right.
with him and Kroon.
Yeah.
Right, and if you leave the fetch behind or you even give the fetch away or put him somewhere else, if Adren doesn't control fetch that game, he probably pushes the melee just to be aggressive. I think that it was just a matter of getting too cute with the fetch and trying to, play it perfect against the artillery that you wind
That's
up
what,
fucking
and that's what he tried
around
to do.
and
Yeah.
not doing it.
Yeah, again, I just think it has a lot to do with the fact that you have a clearly defined goal with one side, with the other's clearly defined goal is to just try and BC, and we're not trying to do that here because we see the advantage terrain-wise, and we're trying to take advantage of that with 3 of our more experienced players, and myself, Arsenic, and GKG doing kind of an odd, thing to do with the Souls and Maul rushing this little hill, which, as we talked about, you normally would not. There's just just a lot of weird things happening on this map, and whereas on Asmo's side, you didn't really have anything exotic, if you will, happening, and it's just kind of one team playing the other's hands. I think at this point, it's starting to develop.
It wasn't. I feel like it wasn't our strat was bad. It's just that you guys had a pretty cool. With what you were saying about you, Arsenic, and GKJ doing normal roles that you normally wouldn't do, and I think that innovation was what
Just
kind of won the game.
just to add to what Limp said, there's something to be said about psychology and having your players in the right mindset, so that when you have
Cutting out again, bro.
cutting out again. God damn it! Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now?
You're good now. Yep, you're good now. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're fine.
I don't know if it's Bandicam that's causing that or what, but whatever. Okay, so I was gonna say to
Oh fuck.
add on to Limp's point, there's something to be said about the putting your players in the right mindset.
I hope he's recording locally and not through an internet connection. So.
I hope this is heard.
Oh boy. All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're all good.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
You're about to give some sort of statement.
I was trying to make a good
About
point
the
here.
psychology of the team.
I'm trying to make a good point here 3 times. All right, here we go. 3rd time's the charm. What I was gonna say
Go for it.
was there's something to be said about putting your players in the right mindset when you have like a definitive goal to kind of, or a piece of terrain, for example, to kind of put in front of them. You kind of, you're playing to their psychology, and if the plan is good, they're already in the right mindset okay, that was my ghost leaving. You're putting your players in the right mindset to make the right plays at the right time. So, for example, just to count an example of the opposite of that, Adrenaline had to make a quick change of mindset in order to make the right play at the right time, right? But he was just told to go east in that direction, and he's kind of fighting a very weird 3-lock squad, and he just couldn't adapt to it, right? So he just didn't have the right kind of right mindset for the right creative thinking, in time. So something like that. I don't know if that made any sense, but
No, totally. I get what you're trying to get at.
Got to be a plan, like in terms of so he knows, okay, I got to push hard, something like that.
right. And
Yeah, we have a lot of experienced players here, so I mean, we even though a lot of those players might be tunnel or whatever, you can take some orders. You can dole out more than just directions here. You can do more than that. You can probably pair some of these people together and get maybe better results. Like, I'm gonna trust Rat King, Eastwind, Asmo's judgment most of the time. So I try to split those players up as much as I could to make sure that the right moves are happening. But I don't know if that's really happening here. I'm not sure if that's happening.
I gotta say though, one thing for Asmo, he was counting on Terry being there, and so most of the time we had like Terry on a flank with 80 or something. But then, so
now
For
I
sure,
think
now-
that's-
I would say that's folly to count on that guy in terms of showing up. Much as I love him.
now if you had Terry in this game, that would have been the perfect thing to give him, was those fetch, because he's one of the best fetchers in the game. So he probably would have been
Yeah,
able
he
to
might
figure
the
that
shit
out.
out of that.
Right.
All right, shit. I think we covered the shit out of this one. We good?
Indeed.
We
don't
are
get too
good.
many
Well done,
assassin-
Argos.
You don't get too many assassin games these days, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, good job,
Yeah, other than, like,
Argos.
Divide or something.
Good job, Argos. Even though I was giving him a hard time after his negative damage in game 2, he pulled out well here, and I think Roar and Rat King seemed to do okay, just judging by the stats. I didn't see them do anything too bad. I mean, Rat King got rushed. I assume he got more units later to help after he lost his first squad. But
Yeah.
all right,
I
My
mean,
souls
Argos
pretty
was
much
def-
just got neutralized too by you guys with that double soul push.
Argos is definitely an outlier here, but he definitely stepped it up, and it was good to have him. So, yeah, I feel good about moving on.
all right. That is game 4. See you guys in game 5.